Hey y'all, it's Leah. I am back with another idea for our ideas book. This one is a little bit different because it is an actual journal. So this will go into the other section of my second ideas book. I have one that is just for pockets, and then I have one that is everything else. And I still need to make tabs for this. I will eventually, just haven't gotten around to it. So for today, we are going to be making this waterfall envelope journal, and I'm just going to kind of get you started on that and explain how to do it, because really once you do one of the envelopes, then they just kind of fall in place. So I saw this mentioned in the Pink Monarch subscription website or Facebook page, and somebody had mentioned that she was making these journals. She was doing a bunch of them, and the idea came from Kathy's Garden. It's a couple of years old, and then I am using this kit is the Pink Monarch October of 25 Lost in Florence kit. Is a beautiful kit. So that's what I just figured to do this the first time. I just wanted to use a kit so I could kind of knock it out and have everything just coordinate. I didn't have to like plan stuff and think about things. I could just print off a bunch of stuff. So that was the easy part for me. So let me kind of show you what this looks like. So when we open it, we've got our little envelope, and then I just made, I printed out all of the pieces and then just kind of made little tags, doubled some up, and then some it's just the ephemera that I put in there. And then the cool thing about this is that the way the envelopes are glued, oops, get that one in there. The way they're glued is they're glued to the top of the one behind it. So then this opens up. So then you kind of end up with this page up here that you can decorate. And then I made like a little pocket down here, and then added some more pieces. I used lots of Wink of Stella on this, on all the moths and the butterflies and birds and that kind of stuff, and then just tried to zhuzh up the tags a little bit. I like to try to add something to them when I can. Sometimes, like last night, I was doing this at, well, I say last night, I think I was doing this at 3 o'clock this morning. And so at one point I was just like, okay, I'm done. So I just needed to get it done. So then again, this one is glued to this envelope, so that this flap, and so we've got that. So I just kind of went with some circles on this one, some more tags and things in there, and then all that in there. And then this one I made a belly band. I figured as I was getting bigger, I could do a little belly band, and then I did, they had these little envelopes in there, so I added that. And I figured that way I didn't have to come up with a closure for the envelope. I could just put it on this way. I was doing that with the butterflies, kind of hiding each other so you don't realize that there's a butterfly underneath there. And then we've got more things in here. These little bits, did some layered circles on there. And then this was a circle, and then I just kind of wanted to do some layers on top of it. It's kind of made like, not really a cluster, but just kind of added the different ephemera to the top of it. And then again made a little, I like using that, like using little tags and things as little pockets. Just kind of a fun way to use them. They had some tabs on there, so I did that. And then I think we're down to our last one. So we've got another belly band going this way, and then this one was an envelope. But instead of making an envelope, I made it into writing space. So I just added some copy dyed paper to the back, and then that tucks into there. I gotta go this way with this one to get it, because it hits the envelope. And then there was another one of those, so I did the same thing with that, just to add some journaling space to there. And then again, added little ephemera there on that one. I even turned this little circle into a tuck spot. So yeah, so that is my little waterfall journal. I just thought it was a very fun way. It was something completely different. I had never seen anything like that before. And then you can add things. You just have to be careful of what you're adding, because you want to make sure that when you open this flap that you can't have something right here, because it would hit on there. So it did. I had glued something here, which is why there's this like random piece there, because I ended up gluing this over across the flap. And so it's just an opportunity, right? It's no mistakes. It's just opportunities. It's the opportunity to add that little piece there. So I'm going to set this aside and just kind of go over the directions for how to do this. So you're starting with 6 squares, and you want double-sided paper, unless you wanted your openings to be white, your flaps to be white, but most people like to have double-sided paper for that. So again, like this was printable, so I just printed them double-sided and cut them out the way that I needed it. So you're going to start with 6 squares, and you can really make your envelopes any size that you want. You're just going to go up 1/2 inch each time. So I did 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, and 8. And then I'll have these directions written at the end. So you're just doing squares. So a 5.5 square, a 6 square, and so on, all the way up to 8. But if you wanted your final, your big envelope, your back envelope to be larger, you can totally do that. If you want it to be smaller, you can totally do that. You can add more envelopes, you can add less envelopes. It is up to you. Okay, so I'm just going to show you quickly how to do the envelope. I tried doing it with an envelope punch board. It does not work because they don't end up stacking the way that you want them to do. It was weird. It just didn't. I was hoping it was going to kind of save me some time. It did not. So I was like, all right, I'll just do it the way that I saw it in the video. Okay. So what you were going to do, I'm starting with a 5.5 piece, because I figured that will make one this size. And that will go into my journal. So you're going to start by finding the center, and you're not measuring anything. You're just marking with, just making a little line. And so you're just kind of going, eyeballing where the center would be, because you're just going to make little cross hatches. And, oops, sorry, hopefully my head's not getting in the camera. So I'm measuring corner, or just putting my ruler corner to corner. And I actually was off there, but that is where my center is going to be. So you just need that center point, and you really won't see the inside. Okay, if you have directional paper, it might not work as well, because you'd end up having either your top or your bottom flap is going to be upside down. So if you're cool with that, then that's fine. If you want your top to be going down, then you need your top to be how are you going to do that? You need your paper, so the top of your paper should be facing this way. So whichever way you've got it going. But yeah, most people don't do envelopes with directional paper. It just makes it a little bit harder, but you can totally do that if you want to. Okay, so we're going to start by taking in our 2 sides, and we're just going to we're going to fold them to the center point. Okay, and then I should do my bone folder for this. So we're going to do a good crease, and then we're going to do the same thing. And I'm going just, I've got them overlapping just a teensy bit. As long as whatever you do to one side, you do to the other, you're totally fine. Okay, so now I'm going to bring up my bottom part, and I want this part, so from the corner to however much I'm raising, I want it to be about 1/2 inch. So one thing that I figured out I could do was put the corners on my line, so have it on my line, and then just go up to about the half, fold so it's about halfway, because that's about 1/2 inch. Okay. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just kind of want to be consistent with your journals or with your envelopes. Okay. And then this little flap, you have options. You can round your corners or you can fold them under. So if you just kind of fold it, actually it works best if you can see it. So if you fold it this way and then fold it back, and then you would just glue, ink it first. Well, actually, we're not there yet. I'm jumping ahead of myself. And then you can do the same thing if you want to. So you can either bring your top down right, so where it is even, or you can bring it down. I did the same thing. I went down, so I put my top on the line and then brought it down about 1/2 inch. Okay. And then you want to get rid of some of the bulk on your envelope. And so we're going to open it up. And then we're going to grab our scissors and see where there is this little corner. Let's ink. So you can see that. So this little corner, this one, like a little triangle. So it's where you're making those right angles. We're going to cut that out. Okay. It just takes away, it helps your envelopes fold a little bit nicer. It takes away that extra layer. Okay. So we're going to cut those out. And then, if I was going to ink it, that's when I would ink it. And then we're going to glue it. Okay, so pretend I'm inking while I'm getting rid of this. So ink, 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 and then we're going to go ahead and glue this up. So I'm going to start with gluing that little flap down. Just put a little bead, and then you want your glue to go on the side, and then you don't want to bring it all the way to your point, because that is going to be floating on, but you do want to kind of make sure you've got your ends done there. Okay, but yeah, you just want to make sure you're not gluing your envelope shut. Okay, all right, so we've got that. So once you've assembled all 6 of your envelopes, or however many you are making, okay, let's pretend this is, I've got another one here. I didn't glue that one yet. But what once you've got them, you're going to start layering. So I didn't measure this part. The lady that I watched, she did measure, and she had, like, somehow she was doing, you know, like 3 inches, or she was doing centimeters, like 3 centimeters. And she was kind of drawing her line there for where it was like corner to corner. I just sort of eyeballed it and kind of went with it that way. And I think it looks fine like that. If I don't have to measure, I'm not gonna. Okay. And so you're just gonna layer your envelopes in whatever fashion you want. If you want to just stack them straight, you can definitely do that. But I kind of like that randomness to give you some space to do some decorating and that kind of stuff. So you're just going to layer them, and once you've got them glued down, when you're gluing them, you just want to make sure that you're only gluing to this flap. So one trick that she did have was to figure out whatever your angle is, where you want it to be, and then draw a line going across, and then you're just going to glue from that line down that flap. And so that way you're getting good coverage on your whole flap, whatever is connecting to the envelope there. Okay, so that worked out really well. And then just do all your layering, and then you get to decorate, and that's the fun part of just trying to figure out where everything goes and putting all your stuff inside. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the directions again. Written directions. So we're starting with 6 double-sided paper squares in whatever measurements you want, but you want to go up by a 1/2 inch on each of them. So I did 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, and 8. Once you have your papers on the back, whatever you want the inside to be, you're going to find your center and then fold your sides in, fold your bottom up about a 1/2 inch, and then fold your top down. And that's also going to be a 1/2 inch. Put that on there. And then you're going to open it up, cut out those corners, and then ink and glue. Then you're just going to layer your envelopes, alternating your directions if you want to, and then decorate. Okay, so I hope that you will give it a try. Like I said, I saw it. Somebody just mentioned it. She had all her things cut of what she was gonna make, and I looked at it, and she listed the video where she had gotten it. I just thought it was the coolest thing. It was something so different. I had never seen anything like that before, and so I wanted to give it a try, and I just immediately was like, all right, let me just grab a kit and start printing. And I did that and went to town and just had a lot of fun with that. So put our directions there, get our title on here. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks for commenting and liking. It really does help. If you like, and that goes for anybody that you watch. It helps the algorithm. It helps us get more views and gets our videos out to more people. So anytime you see a video, please, if you liked it, please click the like button. It really helps us. And then if you can make comments, that is even better. I love interacting with people and getting to talk with people and just seeing what you guys are doing, and hopefully get some different ideas and stuff. So alrighty, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.